kids, and welcome back to SPJ Kids Online. Wonder if you can remember what we looked at last time. We looked at the very first book of the Bible. It was called Genesis, all about the very beginnings. In the beginning, God. And we did a hand sign for that book, Genesis. Wonder whether you can remember it. Start with your hands together and you make like a world. Genesis. Do that with me together. Hands together, Genesis. One more time, hands together, we say together, Genesis. Great. Well, I hope you're up for the next one today. All about the second book of the Bible. The second book is called Exodus. And let's have a little look about things that are in Exodus. So Exodus starts about 400 years after Genesis had finished. 400 years after Joseph had gone to Egypt and became the number 2. And it follows the story of one man in particular, a very famous man called Moses. Now, last week we had an interview with Rocco the reporter. Why don't we go over to Rocco again today and see who he has to interview for us today? Thank you, Mr. J. Today I am interviewing a great man from the Old Testament. His name is Moses. He is out in the wilderness, so let's see if our Zoom technology can help find him. Are we ready? Hello, Moses!
Hello, my name is Moses, and as you can see, I live most of my life in desert places.
Great to see you, Moses. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born in Egypt about 3,500 years ago. Although I was not an Egyptian, I was born a Hebrew.
Okay, so what's a Hebrew?
A Hebrew was God's people, so I was one of God's people, and still am.
So you were in Egypt after Joseph had become the number 2 in all the land. And there were good times, right?
Not during my time. About 400 years after Joseph, a new king came to the throne, a new pharaoh. He was nasty, very nasty, and he made a law to throw all of the Hebrew boys into the river Nile to kill them. Ooh, nasty, nasty. But my mum, she was clever. She built a little boat for me. Really? Yes. It was a basket that she put me in, a basket that floated. And she did put me in the Nile, just like Pharaoh had said to put everyone in the Nile. She put me in the Nile and I floated down. But she was also very clever because she told my big sister to watch and follow and see where I went.
I see. So, it was your big sister that saved you?
Not exactly. You see, God allowed Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, to find me. And she took me in and she adopted me. But my big sister was also very clever, and she told the princess that she knew someone who could look after me. And the princess said that would be great. So my sister actually got my real mum to come and look after me, and she brought me up as a Hebrew, so I learned all about God, as well as all the things about the Egyptians in the palace.
Wow! God is amazing in how he works things out.
Yes, he is. I had some amazing experiences with God.
Oh, do tell us some of those.
But first, let me tell you, there is something that I am really sad about. You see, one day I saw an Egyptian taskmaster beating beating one of the Hebrews, and I got very angry, and I killed the Egyptian, and I buried him in the sand. Only people found out, and so I had to run away, because otherwise I would be killed as well. So I ran, and I ran, and I ran.
Oh no! Where did you run to?
I had to hide in a different country, completely different country, in a desert country. That's why I like living in a country like this.
How long did you have to hide for?
I was hiding for 40 years, and in that time I became a shepherd. I looked after sheep, and I had a wife, and I had some children. And then one day something amazing happened. I was out looking after the sheep in the wilderness, in the desert, a bit like this country, and then I saw something strange. It was a bush that was on fire, a bush a bit like this one. Only it was on fire, but it wasn't being burnt up. So I went closer, and as I got closer, a voice called out to me. It was God. And God, he said to me, take off your shoes, your sandals, because this is a holy place, and I have something very special for you to do.
Oh yes, a special job to do. We like those type of jobs. Can you tell us what it was?
God told me his plan, and his plan was to take all of the Hebrews out of Egypt and into the promised land, a land that he had promised Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph all those years ago. And then he told me that I was the one to go and tell Pharaoh. I was the one. But I said to God, but God, I don't think I can do it. I don't speak very well. God said to me, I want you to do it.
Wow, that's not easy.
Well, he said to me, see your staff, throw it down onto the ground. So I did, and it turned into a giant snake. And then God said, pick it up by the tail. So I picked it up, and it turned back into my staff. It was an amazing sign. And God said, see, these signs and more I will do in front of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh will eventually let the people go, but it'll take some time.
Amazing! So, what did Pharaoh say?
He just said no. So God sent a plague. And every time that Pharaoh said no, God sent another plague. And each plague was worse than the one before. 10 plagues all in all, until the very last plague, the very worst one, was when God sent the angel of death to come and kill all of the firstborn. But he told us Hebrews to kill a lamb and paint over the doorposts and the lintels the blood of the lamb, and when the angel of death came in the night, it would pass over our houses and we would not be affected. But that night was terrible, because all of the firstborn of the Egyptians were killed. And in the morning I went to see Pharaoh, and he said, go and take the people with you.
Yes! Fantastic!
So God allowed me to take the people out of Egypt, and we all went. There were hundreds of thousands of us, hundreds of thousands. And I led them all the way to the Red Sea. And we stopped there until Pharaoh changed his mind again. And the army he sent chased us and were going to kill us. We cried out to God saying, God, help us. God said to me, stretch out your hand. Stretch it out over the water. So I did. And God parted the seas so that all of us, Hebrews, could go through the waters on dry land all the way through to the other side. Then when we'd done that, God said to me, put your hand over the waters again. So I did. And this time, God made all the waters come crashing down on all of the Egyptians. and all of the Egyptian army were gone.
Yahoo! God had saved you.
Yes, God had saved us all.
So, what did you learn about God in this time?
Well, I think what I learned during all of that time was that God looks after his people. God can do amazing things. And we have to trust in God. You know, God looked after me when I was a baby. He looked after me when I had to run away. He looked after me when I had to go and see a pharaoh that I didn't think I could do that job, but God said, I help you to do it. And then God helped me take all the people, and he did miraculous things. So I think I've learned to trust in God.
Thank you so much, Moses. I'm sure you have many, many more stories to tell us.
Well, I have to go now, so maybe we can have a little chat next week, and I can tell you some more of the stories about what happened in the desert and how God looked after us all.
Okay, kids, that's from Moses this week. Look forward to seeing you next week when we should have some more stories from Moses. Bye for now. Thank you for that, Rocco. That was great speaking to Moses. I hope you guys were listening, because I've got a few little questions. Are you ready for these? Here we go. Where did Moses' mum hide Moses? Question 2. Who found him? Question 3. What did Moses do wrong? How long did Moses hide for? What did Moses see when he was out in the wilderness? God turned Moses' staff into what? How did God save the people from the Egyptian army? So Exodus was all about how God helped the Hebrews come out of Egypt, out of slavery and towards the promised land. They exited Egypt. And God did that by helping them through the Red Sea, and he parted the waters. And that's our sign for today. We put our hands together and we say Exodus by putting our hands apart. So hands together, Exodus. Do that with me. Hands together, Exodus. And we can put that together with the one from last week, Genesis. So, ready? Together? Genesis, Exodus. One more time. Ready? Genesis, Exodus. Okay, it's time for a memory verse now. Are you ready for this? Here we go. This is from Exodus. I will free you. I will rescue you. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 and 7. Okay, let's do it again, but this time some of the words are going to disappear. Are you ready? I will free you, I will rescue you, I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 and 7. Great. See if you can do it yourself. Well done. So that's it for today. Genesis, Exodus. Let's see what we have next week. Have a good one. See you soon.